Hey everybody, welcome to episode 32 of Open Play Podcast. I'm here with about half the crew today as one is off melting and one is in the process of moving. So we have Will, say hey Will.
Hi.
And Mason.
Hey everybody.
How are you two doing? What's new in your hobby spaces? Let's start with Will since you haven't been around for a little bit with real life stuff going on. What's new with you?
So, in 2 weeks, I printed and painted an entire Age of Sigmar Troggoth army. And I think that they look pretty good myself. So, I was very pleased with that to get that done in 2 weeks. And I'm kind of in a hobby burnout. I do want to continue painting, and I've got 10 Beast Boys looking at me. I'm going to try some new methods with them. I'm going to try some non-metal metallics on them, and I'm going to try some different colors. They're still going to have yellow on them because I want them to be, as they said in my stream match, if none of your army matches, all of it matches. And I took that personally. So I'm going to make these 10 Beast Boys not match anything else in my army. And then I've also got Nagash sitting here. He's judging me because he's a big undead loser. And I'll probably do those two. So, how about you, Mason?
So I did mention before we started streaming, I'm currently putting together some Felgor Ravagers, and I also have a, I don't remember the name of the actual model. It's like a Beast Pack Leader from Age of Sigmar Legends, but I'm putting them on 28.5mm bases, which they barely fit on because I'm going to run them as jackals for my World Eaters.
Oh yeah, you said that before.
I gotta say, these models are some of my favorite ones that I've put together in a while. These are gorgeous models, these Felgor Ravagers. It makes me sad that they're not better in CSM, but I'm really excited to put them on the table as my World Eaters right now because they fit the Coordinate Demon theme with their little goatee horns and stuff like that, and they just have a lot of character, and they're just classic little demon guys. They remind me of the old metal bloodletters from 5th edition or from 3rd edition.
Yeah, the Felgor models are really, really nice, and I could see them making some really good jackals.
Other than that, I've been putting my Skaventide Stormcast box together. I was originally going to try to put it all together and take it to the shop for Michael and I to play some Spearhead yesterday, but life got in the way. And then I have an Abraxia for my Slaves of Darkness put about halfway together, so I'm pretty much in hobby hell right now, actually. I have gray plastic strewn around me on my desk, just trying to get everything put together. Oh, also, Michael is printing me some bits to convert one of my Armigers into a War Dog Carnivore, because I think that I want to test those in my World Eater army, because they're battle lines for Pariah Necklace, and they move 14 inches, and that's pretty good, I think, in my opinion. They don't hit that hard, but they hit hard enough that they're relevant, and they'll pop a transport, and they can heroically intervene for 1 CP, which is dope, and reroll charges to do so.
Yeah, enjoying while the points drops are there.
Yeah, so Michael, what about you?
Building a lot. Let's see. I'm building out the Sisters Army. I've printed 2 Castigators, which are built. I printed 2 Immolators, which are built. I printed 6 Paragon Warsuits, which are ready to go. Built 10 Seraphim, Palatine, the Hospitaller, Jump Pack Canoness. Need to finish Battle Sisters and a Retributor Squad, and then I'm pretty much got 2,000 points ready to go. Played them in TTS, enjoyed the way they play. I messed up a lot of rules because it's a completely new army for me, but it'll be fun. Plus I like burning things, so that'll be cool. AoS wise, I built a whole lot of rats recently. I need to build the Vermin Lord still. I need to build out the Gnawholes and Endless Spells, as well as my Storm Fiends, so I can put together that 2K list and actually play a 2K game of Age of Sigmar. Looking forward to that. But that's pretty much all my hobby stuff. General news for the podcast. We had Jordan from Warfire Minis on a few weeks back. Really nice guy, really positive guy. Love the shop personally. We are now an affiliate with them. Affiliate link will be in the show notes as well as...
What?
Yep. So it just means we get a little bit of kickback if you buy something from them at no extra cost to you. It'll help pay for podcast fees, mostly editing and the hosting that is currently paid for. And yeah, it's in the show notes, it's in the Discord and the announcements channel, and we'll probably have a couple of more places. But if you do purchase anything from Warfire, definitely use that affiliate link. No charge to you, and it just helps us out, so that'll be cool.
Also, everything that I bought from Warfire, I will say that both pricing and shipping speed is on par with Amazon. So if you like listening to us and you like 40K, and if you don't like doing those, I'm confused why you're here. Yeah, go through our link because Warfire does a great job. I'm really happy that Jordan likes us enough and tolerates us enough to give us an affiliate link for sure, because it's I'll put my order in and the next day typically I'll get an update that says, oh, your order's getting ready to ship. And I'm like, oh, well, dang. Maybe it's just because we're on the East Coast, but...
No, I ordered from him before I was affiliated with Open Play, and I had the same thing. I'm like, wait, what? This guy's just a guy, and he's just sending me stuff.
Yeah, he cranks it out for sure. They do a great job down there. I still want to get down there for a tournament tournament, but some of us have kids that they can't get out.
I don't. I'll be there with you. Don't worry.
All right.
Look, if I can get there, I will. That's all I'm saying.
Plus, we have family in Florida anyway, so, of course, they're like probably 2 to 3 hours away from there, but it's still on the way. I could stop for a night. It's fine. But yeah, Jordan's cool. Shop is cool. Quick shipping, and they do tend to help people out. I know this is turning into a commercial, but as a for instance, I ordered the Gnome team, Blood Bowl team from them, and pre-order, and for whatever reason, GW didn't ship it in their shipment, so they were delayed a couple of weeks, so they refunded the order, and then they gave you a $20 store credit on top of that. So, I mean, that's just the kind of thing he does with a lot of the stuff I've seen, looking at the Facebook and whatnot. Pretty cool guy, pretty good shop. I will definitely keep shopping from there. And another nice nicety is Jordan was nice enough to send the podcast a Vermintide box, which we split up amongst pretty much everybody here, and we all have little pieces of it, and that was just super cool and super nice of him to do.
It's really exciting for us, not to geek out, not to turn into a commercial like that, but it's nice to give props back to someone who's given us a little bit of props.
Or fireminis.com, but use the affiliate link, which is not that. It's a link you have to click on, so yeah. Hit the show notes, hit the Discord, ask us directly, we'll send it to you, I don't care. Just use the affiliate link, thank you. So, let's get into some previews and some general news of the realm here. So first off, pre-orders that came up this past weekend, which I have on screen. We're looking at the Warhammer Horus Heresy Mechanicum Battle Group pre-order, which I admit I was kind of halfway tempted there just for AdMech, because those are just really cool looking models, especially the transport. I love that transport.
It's so doofy. It's so Adeptus Mechanicus. We have no idea what technology does, but we sure do pump it out.
Michael, if you go and start buying AdMech models, Will and I are going to have an intervention for you.
Honestly, yeah, a little bit.
Well, luckily I haven't, and I'm not, because I know how much that army costs comparatively, but it's still a cool box that you could use easily for your 40k AdMech stuff. And they're all new plastic models, so come on.
But again, it's Horus Heresy. I do like the Knights. The Knights look really nice.
Yeah, the Knights are. They're plastic kits again, so that is good to get out of resin, but I wonder if they're just going to go to Legends at some point down the road, like real quick.
As much as I hate Imperial Armor units being mainstays in lists, I kind of hope not, just because Knights don't have that many options. But then again, they have Canis Rex, who is great and got a huge buff this last data slate, so what do I know?
Yeah, Canis is a little silly.
I'll say this box was a pretty decent buy. It was like BOGO, basically. You buy one, get one about half off if you bought the pair. So if you were into Knights, it's a good box to buy.
So it was, what, $210 for both?
It was a little bit more than that, I think. But I think each Knight's like $200 by themselves.
Oh my god.
That's actually a crazy deal, for sure.
Crazy deal is relative when we're talking that much money, though.
I mean, yeah, the price tag on a Lancer is the reason why I don't have a Lancer. If they were $100, I might have bought one when they were super crazy, and I would have played Knights. But I was like, $200 though, I don't know.
Oh, never mind. No, wait, I'm in the wrong country. That's not right.
Look at the Australian price.
I'm so sorry. So if anyone in Australia listens, I'm so sorry for the prices that you guys pay for Warhammer, because we just looked at the price of the two Knights and it was $600. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. So it's $310 American from Games Workshop for both.
So you get one half off, basically.
Yeah.
So you split one with your buddy. Not that I would ever insinuate doing that. And then with, you guys get one for basically 75% of the cost. That's not bad at all.
And if you buy through Warpfire, then, it's $263, but they're out of stock. So it's not a bad price.
I mean, why would you not be out of stock when you're selling that far below GW?
I will say, Knights players are not at orc levels of fanaticism for Knights, but like Knights players do love their Knights.
Well, they're big models. You can do a lot with them. You can kit bash really easily sometimes.
And the amount of stuff you can do with the Knights model for like basing and like Michael said, kit bashing, you can make a Knight army yours so easily.
Yeah, the amount of flavor you can use on just the bases alone is crazy, because you just have so much real estate there too.
Hey Will, could I have 10 orc bodies? No questions asked. Sure, man. I got tons of them.
Other releases that came out, we have the Luminous Executioner and Demolisher Squadron. This is for the Epic game, though. And I will, again, side note, I mentioned this to Mason on Saturday, but when I do buy Luminous for the Guard Army, I'm going to buy the 30k kit, because they're exactly the same, and it's a newer plastic kit, and they look better, I think.
Makes sense to me.
And then you have your dwarves came out for Old World, if you like dwarves. A lot of people do. A lot of people, from what I've seen online, were waiting on the dwarves.
I mean, hey, you can run Grom Brindle, so enough said, but...
I'm very happy to the players that enjoy it.
I don't understand how it's profitable, to be perfectly honest, because it seems like they're only targeting people who are looking for that nostalgia from the old game.
Well, it's profitable because they're not making new models. They're reusing old resin molds and resin whatever STLs, whatever they're using. So they don't have to make anything new other than packaging and rules.
That's fair. And, if it scratches that itch for you, go all the way off. It's not my cup of tea, but hey, I hope you enjoy it.
There's a lot of people that like them. If they weren't on, I don't know, if the models looked better to me, like newer, then I could see maybe trying it out, like getting a starter set and just giving it a go. But I don't like the way the models look. I'm not a fan of square bases. It's just not my thing.
The bases are not flat, they're round. I learned that in school.
Okay, I'm glad. They're not 2D though, so they're not technically flat. Next up on the news is the codex everyone was waiting for, Imperial Agents.
This codex is going to be one of two things. No in between. Literally no in between. Absolutely bonkers, batshit busted, or a dumpster fire so large it can be seen from space. No in between. Because when you soup in this many units, this many different weapon profiles, and we all know, I love Games Workshop. I criticize them a lot, but I love Games Workshop. When you soup in and you have this many different weapon profiles and you have this many different abilities, you are going to have a combo that is absolutely bonkers busted. So I'm leaning more towards the busted side. That makes no sense and it shouldn't work, but it absolutely does. You're going to have a free stratagem that you can use 3 times per turn that does 2d6 mortal wounds to everything in a 6-inch radius or something until they FAQ it out. Because when you have this many units, it's a problem. I yield to you, Michael.
Well, I was going to say, let's look at the detachment rule they've shown so far. They've only showed this one detachment rule, and it's the Imperialis fleet at all costs. So you basically select one enemy unit on the battlefield until the start of your next command phase. Each time an agent of the Imperium model from your army makes an attack roll, that unit, you add 1 to the hit roll. So that's okay. I mean, extra hit's good.
It's okay. That's okay.
Acquire at all costs, I think, is much better. Select one objective marker on the battlefield until the start of your next command phase, while an agent of the Imperium unit from your army is within range of that objective marker. Improve the leadership and objective control characteristics of models in that unit by 1, and models have a 5-up invuln.
That's very good. That means you can take your cheap sacrificial 50-point breacher unit, throw it on the objective. You don't charge the orcs that are on the objective, or whoever's the CSM that are on the objective, and you just take it. It's yours.
And then other units give, CP gen plus invulnerable saves. So I mean, they've shown rules that are okay. I'm thinking it's probably going to be mid-range. I don't think it's going to be great.
This detachment does not scream amazing to me.
So for me, it definitely seems like, what are you going to do? Like, unless there's, you can add in a leader that lets you re-roll this invulnerable save or something, it's still not that hard to even tear through a mob of 20 dudes with a 5-up invulnerable save, right? They're still going to be toughness 3, 1 wound. Like, and based on these battle forces, this is actually my theory. Unless you can add in something like Arco-Flagellants and give them a 5-up invuln. Oh, they already have a 5-up invuln, don't they? No, a 6-up invuln, right?
They have a 6-up currently, but we'll see how it all pans out.
So unless you can do that, because like these battle forces make me think that you might be able to take some stuff from other codexes. So it might be that trade goes both ways, because you got some Grey Knights in the Ordo Malleus box. You have some
Death Watch,
you got some sisters, you got a lot of different
Death
things.
Watch is whatever. let's not get carried away.
But this is going to be Death Watch's codex, quote unquote, though. So we'll see what they lose, but this is going to be how they play.
Oh, it's official. That's official now.
Yeah,
They did announce that Death Watch is getting rolled up into Imperial Agents.
I mean, that's fair. Otherwise, it's not a codex, to be honest. Right? Like having 18 agents like standing on each other's shoulders in a trench coat does not a codex make. But the Ordo Hereticus battle force seems really good. If you're going to start a Sisters army, it seems really good. And like if you're starting an Agents army, it seems really good. I would bet this one sells out first. I mean, they're probably all going to sell out because it's Warhammer, it's a battle force, but
Second, Mason, the Hereticus battle force is really good, and the sculpts are really good, and everything is really good.
yeah. If I hadn't bought a Sisters Combat Patrol, I probably would have picked up the Hereticus box, because I don't need the Immolator anymore. I mean, I guess having a third wouldn't be bad, but still.
the immolators are very good. So
They are, but I have print, so I would just print a third.
you run 3 of the, what is it, the Purgator?
Castigers.
Castigator, yeah. You run 3 of those.
Yeah, my list has 2 and 2. 2 Castigators, 2 Immolators.
I hate it. Sisters is so good.
But yeah, I mean, this box by far I think is the best box of the 3. The Ordo Malleus is
I mean, we don't. So we say that, but when the Codex releases, maybe one of X units in the Malleus or one of the other battle forces is really, really good. So who knows?
Yeah, well, I mean, it goes on pre-order next weekend, so we'll start getting previews this weekend with reveals like coming Friday, Saturday. So we'll get a lot more information this week probably, and we'll have a better handle. But the Battle Force, I mean, this dude is not great. His old sculpt was better, I think. And I'm talking about what's his name?
Inquisitor Cortez.
His sculpt is so bad compared to his old one.
I don't hate him. His bird is terrible.
His bird, no, his older sculpt, it has, you can feel the love, you can feel how much detail it has, and then you look at the new sculpt, and it's like somebody took an X-Acto knife to his armor and just stripped off everything that made him a badass Inquisitor.
So this was Duncan Rhodes' kit bash of that model, using different pieces that none of them were from that model, and I much prefer his kit bash better.
Well, Duncan Rhodes is
kind of a god of hobbying.
He's on another level, you know what I mean? But look at that great stuff cloak on its own. But no, it's...
Yeah, and that was a paint the rest of the owl moment, because I watched this video over the weekend. He will get the green stuff on there, make it a cloak, and basically starts telling you to use the tool to like make lines, and he makes a couple of lines, and then transitions to just like the whole cloak being like completely textured and great. Like here, he's just making shallow lines with the putty knife, and then it transitions to that where it's just like, okay.
So I assume that Will hasn't noticed yet because he hasn't given me shit about it. One of the STLs I slipped in to have him print for me was a press mold for green stuff for fur pelts.
No, I haven't gotten there yet.
Because I don't want to have to do that for my CSM, what I want to put fur on. Every time I watch a video of how to make fur pelts out of green stuff, it's like, hey, spend 8 hours of your life to make something that looks pretty good, or spend 4 hours of your life something that looks terrible. I'm like, I don't want this. But I don't like the contact point on the eagle on its wing. I don't understand why that would happen.
Why would it not just be perched atop, ready to take off?
Yeah, you know what birds don't be doing very much? Is like slapping their wing on spiky posts. That's what my eyes immediately go to, but I do see that his legs don't have nearly any detail and stuff like that. Is he wearing like the millennial high-waisted armor?
Yes.
Like pants? Like it's so... What
is this?
His armor is inappropriately sized for his body, for the head.
Yeah, it really looks like it for sure.
If an Inquisition agent approached me wearing that, I'd laugh and then I'd promptly be shot.
Yeah, you'd get murdered, but
I would still laugh at him. Like dog, what are you doing, man? Like, get in the right armor.
That's his old sculpt. I like the old sculpt. Wasn't great. It's got the armor nipples, but shave those off.
Get the armor nipples out of here. And then past that, it's fine.
Look at the bone eyes on his shins. Like that's good. And the bandages on the armor for no reason. Like, yeah, I gotta say that this is a bit of a miss. This might just be this specific paint job. I don't know if this is the official paint job. The bone colored hammer is a little confusing to me.
Yeah, it's supposed to be granite type. It looks like almost, because you can see some streaking just barely on there. But still, yeah, I get it. And there's other non-official paint jobs. But either way, compared model-wise, this kit versus the new one, I like the old better.
My question is the bird going to have stats?
Oh, God.
Is that bird on a 40?
Looks like.
Why is the bird on a 40 millimeter base? Maybe he's on a 32.
Maybe.
I mean, they don't really put heroes on 32s anymore, but he is just a guy, so I guess, if anyone, he could justify as being on a 32 millimeter base.
He is literally just a human.
Are those Grey Knight Terminators or regular guys?
Those are Terminators.
Then, yeah, he's on a 40.
Yeah.
So the bird's on a 40.
Yeah, it's hidden behind it because it all blends in, but you can just see the base through there.
A Space Marine wearing armor that makes him functionally invulnerable to small arms fire versus a bird with an extra head. Same base size. Let's go.
My first thought when I see this model, and then we'll move on, I don't want to dogpile too much, but I swear it looks like he's wearing a diaper.
That's exactly what
it's a little diaper-like.
He's in a 21st century spacesuit, baby.
Yeah, I mean, he's a human. He's not a, he's not a super soldier. He's not a space marine. So, I mean, the armor befits that of a human, I guess, more so than, your juggernaut space marine that's like 2 heads higher.
Are they moving away from tabards? Like, maybe that's why they did it like this? They didn't want to have little dick towel, you know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah, let's move on. His lore is really cool, but talk about cool models. Asterath the Grim popping off. This model is gorgeous. I love this guy.
See, this is a new sculpt they did mess up, unlike the last guy.
Yeah, you could literally like because I looked at the old one, I was like, how this looks very similar. The only thing that's really noticeably different is it looks like his face is a mask in the new model, whereas before it was just his face. That looks like it's a mask to me. But like this model is like the muscle tendons and the armor and the wings and everything just comes through so beautifully.
So I posted a real picture of Astrath the Grim in our general chat. That's a real picture. It's a straight 1-for-1 lore canon straight up. That is what Astrath the Grim aspires to be. It's the crow for everyone who's just listening.
Why did you post it instead of in the podcast, in the recording channel? So like everyone who's in the Discord was like, why did he just post this?
I mean, it's beautiful and they'll figure it out. Because when I first saw him, I was like, this is the crow. They just made the crow and they strapped power armor on him.
Yeah, pretty much. But like the cooler crow.
Do you mean the 1980s crow? Yes, I agree.
Yeah, Brandon Lee, yeah.
Yes, dude, peak cinema. That's like, if you strap power armor onto the 1980s crow, that is 40k. Welcome to 40k, baby.
You're not wrong, I guess. These guys are fine.
All the Assault Intercessors, the Death Company, they're all good.
The upgrade sprue looks lacking, I think.
Lacking Power Fist, you mean? That's not a good sign for all my Death Company enjoyers out there.
So, the Death Company upgrade sprue, I will say, Death Company, this is kind of, we're melding into the 40k competitive discussion. Death Company have one of the most pushed data sheets in the whole game right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
With the upgrade sprue, you ain't gonna get that, baby. You're gonna get yourself a Power Fist, you're gonna get yourself an Eviscerator, and maybe some power weapons. Maybe. And that's going to be per 5. Your Death Company, you're spamming 30 of them right now, you're going to have a bad time if you meta chasing and you building 10 power fists per brick of Death Company. You're going to have a real bad time.
I mean, Sword Brethren still have crazy weapons, but they haven't gotten their codex yet either. I'm pretty sure I've said on this podcast before, I've definitely said in real life that Firstborn Death Company are going away in the new codex. I'm pretty confident about that. I know they don't say it objectively here, but like, yeah, it's going to be Primaris Death Company for sure.
Which doesn't make sense because the second an Apothecary saw a crazed Astartes who is out of his mind screaming Horus, they're just going to put him down. But they're going to find some way to be like, oh yeah, he'd be fine with it. Let's just continue on with the operation, Doctor.
Also, now we can go back to Lamarty's sculpt because this kind of links in with him. Lamarty's sculpt screams Firstborn to me. Like the proportions.
It does, right?
Like, he looks squat like a Firstborn Marine does, which makes sense because, you know, Death Company wouldn't want to be regular Firstborn and then go to the Black Rage and then become Primaris. That doesn't work sense. Primaris Death Company makes sense because they were Primaris and then they fell to the Black Rage.
Maybe it's just the angle, but yeah, I mean, he looks like comic accurate Wolverine. He looks short.
Yeah, I'm not actually in love with this model. I do like the old one better.
Wait, you don't like the ball gag he's got in his mouth?
It is a little ball gaggy, right? But I don't like the fact that it looks like he's screaming, where instead of before it, he looked almost like he was at peace with the fact he was going to die, which I thought was fitting.
Thank you. Mason, you're the greatest homie a man has ever created.
Thanks. I've been taking fish oil, so my brain is working like 1,000 miles a second.
So Lamarte's entire job is to herd the Death Company toward their death. That is his job. Of course he's a badass in battle, but that's not what he's there for. He's there to make sure the screaming, insane Astartes make it to combat and connect and die. This model looks like he's a lunatic out of his mind. He snorted like 4 lines of coke. When you're a chaplain, that's not your job. That's not what you do. When you're a chaplain, you make sure that your brothers and sisters, well, I guess in this case just brothers, make it to melee so that they can die in combat as they were destined to do.
Give them the honorable Emperor's Peace instead of just dying in a tower.
Thank you for bringing that up, Mason.
Compared to the old model, which I have up on screen next to the new one, because I don't even remember the old one. I've never really looked at Blood Angels or played Blood Angels, but I mean, the other one, definitely the older one has elegance to it, where the new one, he just looks like an angry dude.
You paint the new Lamarte's red, and what do you got?
He's a world leader at that point.
Thank you.
So let's say some positive things about it, not just negative things, because like that's my opinion. But that Crozius is gorgeous. I love it. Also, this base is a masterpiece. I love the base he's standing on. This, I know it's just a staircase, but you have the wording on it, I think it looks great.
I agree with Mason.
I think that if you don't already have Illumardi's and you buy this, you won't be disappointed. I just think the old one edges out a little bit, in my opinion. Maybe more than a little bit, but yeah.
I was just going to say I'm super tired of these bases that are just pieces Rebel things are on or jumping off of. I'm so over those bases.
It is kind of the style they've been going with, right?
Just give me a rock, man. Give me a rock.
Tactical rock, okay. Standing on ruin, okay. Standing on scrap metal, okay. Standing on body of another faction, okay.
I mean, the community kind of got it right with the smoke trails for Inceptors, right? Like, you can give jump pad guys just a smoke trail and people will go ape shit. They'll love it.
That's why I 3D printed them for my Seraphim. That's all they have, because I'm not using little fiddly pieces of crap that they ship with.
It's impossible to make your model stand up with those. Kudos to you if you make it work for you. Like, I mean, I don't know if, I guess you could just glue a washer to the bottom, but it doesn't look better and it doesn't feel better on the tabletop. I like my models that have some heft.
Yeah, these will actually have heft. I'm going to post it in general chat since we're posting stuff there. Same one that I posted last night, but it's solid resin. It's not hollowed resin, so it definitely has heft. It fits their base size, and they'll stay attached. So Blood Angels overall are decent army looking at the stats. They're still pretty high up there. I think this box will probably sell out. One, because it's got the new codex, not codex.
Supplement. It'll probably have 3 detachments. One will be the Sons of Sanguinius, and then 2 others. You'll get Astorath early. You'll get the data cards. Who cares? And you'll get the Illumardi's model, which, if you don't already have one, it's a good pickup. This is a good box. All these models are relevant. The Dreadnought is the only iffy one right now, but who knows what it's going to say in this edition. The question that this model does come. So this is a Brutalis painted as a Death Company Dread. The current Death Company Dreads, if I recall correctly, are box dreads. Am I right there?
Yep.
Yeah, Death Company Dreads currently are old sculpt. They're not terrible, but they're not great.
I would say they're pretty good.
I would give them a B tier.
Yeah, you're not going to see them in every tournament, but like they're at a local game, you'll have a good time, and they're not going to underperform.
If you take a Brutalis that has the exact same rules as a Death Company Dreadnought right now, I would say that could be high A because, oh, you didn't kill me, I fight. You still didn't kill me, I fight again. A Brutalis Dreadnought fighting 2 to 3 times a turn is horrifying.
Oh, yeah. I don't see the Magna gun, which is a big deal. Because getting that extra bonus to charge off of coming in from reserves was really good. But, like, yeah, I mean, you run up, you charge a transport, and you kill the transport because you're a Brutalis Dreadnought, and then you base the guys who come out, and then those guys thump off you and do no damage, and then you get to maul them. It's pretty good.
It's modeled a Stormbolter, so I assume it'll have the same profile. Just won't have that flame, whatever cannon.
So the weird little round things on the top above the skull, that's like a Magna grapple launcher. I think that if you hit a monster or vehicle with it, you get +2 to charge them. So you can just be rolling 7-inch charges out of Deep Strike with this thing, or out of Strat Reserve with this thing. Is it niche? Yes, but it's a nice little tasty treat.
Yeah, so I do like the art for the special edition cover. Maybe reused, but it's good art.
Yeah, if you're gonna reuse art, at least it's good art, right? It's not AI.
Not yet. Don't give DW time. Let them cook. Let them cook, baby.
I would like to not let them cook.
Now, how long is this going to be out before it's actually official to use? Is it going to be another Tau box that, is out for 2 months before they actually release it?
At least, if that is the case, Blood Angels can use all the stuff in that box.
Yeah, this is true.
And, like, Blood Angels are obviously doing well without 2 additional detachments. So, Tau were definitely at a raw end of the stick because they only had the 1 detachment. It wasn't super great. And, like, they had a bunch of new units they could no longer use. But it would be funny if, like, moving forward, that if your army gets one of these special edition boxes, you're not going to get your codex for, like, 6 months after it's out.
Which is a good segue into meta talk. So, current meta, as far as stat check goes, was last updated on the 30th. So, just this past weekend. Yeah, Jukari are a problem. I think that'll go down with pivot changes, because I think they were abusing the pivot changes more than most.
That's a 1%er, Michael. This is just Will's opinion. That's a 1%er, baby. Those pivot changes, like, were they helpful? Sure. Jukari have been a problem. The entire edition, everyone has been talking about it, but no one has been listening.
The entire edition?
What buffs have they gotten, Mason?
They got a new detachment.
So, once they got their new detachment, have they had any changes since then? It's been 3 months.
I mean, don't you now have 3 models that turn off strats within 12 inches of them now?
No, because almost every major event has ruled that that's not how that works. In order to turn off stratagems, you have to be the warlord because you're not eligible.
Well, that's how it should be, but I didn't know that. I'm glad to know that they're ruling that.
Almost every single major GT, major everything has ruled that is not how that works. Your Archons don't just inherently turn it off.
For everyone who's not listening, you don't actually turn it off. You just make it cost one more, which means that your CP economy is all janked up and you just have a bad time. We know how the rule actually works. It's just like functionally, like if you only have 2 CP, you get 1 stratagem maybe, and then you can't combat interrupt anymore.
So the only changes they received points-wise from the last index changes were Grotesques went down to 80 points for 3, 160 for 6. Ravager went down to 110 points, and 5 Scourges went up to 120, and 10 came down to 180.
Yeah, I think Scourges have been a problem pretty much the whole game. I just think that before the Sky Splinter came out, it didn't matter because they were like the one good unit in a sea of mid. Now, I think that Drukhari was all like criminally cheap before Sky Splinter came out, and then now that Sky Splinter is out, like they got some points raises, but just not enough. Now, I am jaded because the only Drukhari that I play against regularly is one of the best Drukhari players in the country. So it could just be that maybe I'm getting skewed in one way. Like, I mean, obviously, like people who play against Skari probably feel the same way, right? But wait, I'm sorry. I just had to scroll. Real Space Raiders has a higher win rate than Sky Splinter?
Lower player count, it's skewed. It's 5 players versus 85 players.
Okay.
But they're both very good. They've been very good since their release. It's just, and I get that's only one player right now, but like straight up, they've both been very good since release.
I think Drukhari was just hard to play before, and like if you were good, you could do well with them. Like, I mean, not to mention him again, but Skari was still putting up wins with Drukhari, even when they were like, oh, Drukhari are terrible. But like, if you're beating the top meta armies with Drukhari, they can't be that bad.
Part of that comes down to also knowing your army inside and out really well, I think. Not that he's not good at what he does, and, you know, Drukhari weren't okay, but still, I think playing your army, knowing it fully when it's not the best army, you'll still do okay.
But Sky Splinter is a very good list, and it's hard to play against. It's hard to field an army that can play against successfully and still not lose to any other games, and just everything kind of works in their favor. Thousand Suns is always going to be a bullshit army.
They didn't get a lot of changes, but I mean, they're just not that great to play, I don't think. I mean, but they're good. Obviously, 57% win rate is at the last week.
Yeah, I think that if you were good enough to play Thousand Suns well, you've always been in the upper 50% of win rates at events you go to. You look at people who are good with Thousand Suns, and they typically have success with them, but the army's very hard to play.
Yes, Thousand Suns have a ridiculously high skill cap. I'll say that even for Drukhari right now. They both have a very high skill cap. I will say I think Thousand Suns is higher.
Yeah, I think so. I would agree with that. Sisters is the sledgehammer of this top 3 for sure. They're just bringing raw power to the table.
Ringers of Flame is going to get nerfed.
Can you kill all of our bodies that all have an invul? Some of them may have female pains. They all have good armor saves. Yeah, they're T3, but okay, there's 1,000 of us. Like, what are you going to do about it?
They just have so many tools to just say, that's dead. I want that dead. It's dead. I'm going to run up an emulator. I'm going to shoot it with melted guns. My meltas do flat 8 damage because I have Miracle Dice, and the Triumph is somehow always 6 inches away from everything. And then, oh, it's going to fire its Storm Pulsar at this other thing, so now I ignore cover on that. Now my Castigator is going to pop behind a wall. It's going to shoot that. Everything has +1 AP against it. Other Castigator is going to shoot and kill it. Oh, and then the Citadel behind the wall is going to get charged by Repentia. It's dead too. What just happened?
You know, I will say it's not always that way. I played Sisters versus Alex's Tyranids actually in TTS 2 weeks ago, I think. First time I played Sisters. And one for my Miracle Dice rolls, I only ever had 1 6. Everything else I rolled was a 2 or 3. And he did Shadow on the Warp, and I failed every single battle shock for the army.
Well, you know, I was being a little hyperbolic, I will say. And like, Sisters players, don't hate me. I know your army's not that easy to win with.
I mean, it's not orcs.
Stop, he's already dead. They just have so many tools to just do so much damage, and it's hard to chew through all those tiny little bodies.
Being able to say, this is dead. I don't care what you do, what you think, what you want. I'm going to 6 to wound it, and I'm going to 6 to damage it. It's dead. That is a ridiculous ridiculously. In a dice game, that is the most powerful mechanic you can get, to just say, I am going to roll a 6, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Start of additional Dari.
Yeah, I think that there's just so, and there you can recycle your dice by cycling them with your girls in the back who are just, they're gonna advance, but they're only gonna move 1 inch, and that's only just because I want to burn this 1 I got on my advance roll and turn it into something better. And it's such a cool army. I don't want it to get nerfed in the ground, but I want some parts of it to get nerfed into the ground. I want it just to be a little more fair.
They could take the Triumph and add the monster or something keyword. They could add a keyword to it that would just absolutely nerf it, like monster or something like that, or vehicle. Jesus, would a vehicle be a coffin? Oh God,
I mean, a hearse is a vehicle, right?
They could add vehicle keyword to it, and it would absolutely nerf that unit, but it would still be taken very frequently. It's just it would be used in a very different manner. That's all I'm saying.
I think that if you hit a couple of Sisters key combo pieces, it'll still be a good army, but I don't think they're the most deserving of nerfs in the world. And I don't even think that this top 3, I don't think there's some untouchable stratospheric level of broken, but I think they just need a little gentle get back down here on the ground with the rest of us.
Honestly, this is one of those levers. GW has the lever of points. Adjust the points. Take great units and slap them with 10 to 20% and move on.
Also, I'll chime in. I agree with your Triumph thing, because it's infantry. You can go through walls. It shouldn't be able to do that.
No, it's literally a friggin' coffin.
I think it was in other editions too, but I know it was definitely like that at 9th. The rules for crisis suits, where if you took the same gun multiple times, you paid more. I think that if there was a rule for that for all data sheets, that'd be pretty cool.
If only there was a cost for war gear this edition.
Well, but think about how many vehicles out there that are not a problem when they're taken in 1 and are not really a problem when taken in 2, but when they're taken in 3, it's this is very oppressive. I think that would be an interesting way to balance the game. If you take 2 of a unit, you pay an additional 10 points for that data sheet. If you take 3, you pay an additional 30.
So how about Blood Angels with 5 event wins?
The most pushed data sheet in the game, Death Company. Their HQs are okay, they're not great, but 30 Death Company alone will carry you to most victories.
Yeah, you really take characters in Blood Angels to make your guys better, not because they're inherently. Although Dante's very good.
Dante's good. I agree. Dante good.
If you could somehow put Dante in Death Company, you would see Dante every game because he's really good. But unfortunately, he can only go in Sanguinary Guard, which are just too expensive for what they do.
You still see Sanguinary Guard in a lot of lists, though.
They're so expensive. How much are they these days?
A lot. They're expensive, but I still see at least 1 unit because they're ablative wounds for Dante.
So you take them as an escort to get Dante to the battle, is what you're saying?
Yeah, and Dante's no slouch. Sanguinary Guard are still no slouches in melee.
Well, they hit really hard. They just kind of die.
But by the time Dante and the boys are in, everything else is dead because you've got 30 Death Company that smashed into their lines.
Random list that won 5 games?
That's really it. It's Death Company carrying. Ball Predators, I will say that as a secondary. Ball Predators are really good. I don't know why. I've never looked into it specifically, but I see every list has Ball Predators in every list.
Yeah, Ball Predators are insane.
What's different about them, Mason? Do you know?
Well, they can advance and shoot.
Oh, well, that'll do it.
They can only advance and shoot infantry.
Oh.
They're anti-infantry platforms. That's what you want to do. Another fun fact about the Ball Predator is that was Will's nickname in college.
Hey.
I was waiting for it.
Got him.
But yeah, they're so good. They have the heavy bolters on the side and a flamestorm cannon.
The Ball Predator is so cheap.
Yeah, it's 110 points. That's a steal.
125.
So anyways, that's why Blood Angels are kind of a little absurd. It's 2 data sheets. It's the Ball Predator and it's the Death Company. Their HQs are okay. They're fine. But it's those 2 data sheets that are pushing them into what the hell is going on mode. I will be the first one to say I'm kind of surprised World Leaders are at 55% because nothing in their army is looks at me and goes, this is broken.
World Eaters are mid-table terrors. I think that they're decent in 1,000 Suns. I'd have to play it, but in theory, I think that they can out-trade 1,000 Suns, so immediately, especially with you can't use torrent weapons on indirect fire now.
Oh, I'm so glad that's gone.
Yeah, it should always have been that way. That's stupid. I hate it. But I think that 1,000 Suns is not a bad matchup for 1,000 Suns, but Drukari and Sisters, I think it's an abysmal matchup. But I think that they kind of just, any army that relies on putting something durable on a point. Like, whether that durability is because you have a lot of bodies or durability because you have very high toughness bodies. World Eater's like, yeah, I don't care how durable you are. I'm going to kill you. You're dead. I do 1,000 damage. Didn't I play you and didn't I charge your juiced up Mega Knobs and I still killed them? Yeah, it was a bad trade for me and I still lost a lot, but like, I still did the impossible.
Yeah, I mean, 6 Exalted Acebound basically kill God, straight up. Like, the only thing that they don't kill is 20 boys in Green Tide. Actually, no, wait. I take that back. They nerfed Green Tide so bad. I'm pretty sure that 6 Exalted 8-bound killed 20 boys.
On release, 6 Exalted 8-bound did kill 20 boys, but nothing else in the army did, including Angron.
So, I take it back. A 6 Exalted 8-bound kill God, and God is very sad.
No, Corrin's very happy.
Yeah, depending on which god you're talking about. Oh, and going back to Blood Angels, we did forget one data sheet. The Sanguinor. Sanguinor is dope.
Like, he's really good. I'm not going to say he's a meme. Like, he's really good. He gets to heroic for free. He gets to come down potentially turn 1 if you get charged. And he slaps.
Well, so, Will, this is how I think about him, right? You play a melee army. So you can only drop one place, I don't care. But imagine if your list only has one melee threat or 2 melee threats.
Yeah,
He drops down heroics, just challenges the character out of there, and then kills like 2 guys.
And he fights first.
Yeah, if you're playing a mixed list where like you have some melee, some combat, he is way better. Because, like, he's a lone op also, so he just moves 12 and says, I'm going to run away, and then I'll be 18 inches away from you, and then on your turn, I'm going to run 12 inches towards you and then charge you and slap you again.
Agreed. The Sanguinor kind of inherently favors fighting skew lists, because, like, either he's really good or he's not that impactful, because it's 8 attacks with no rerolls. 2, 6, 3, 2. It's good, but is that likely to kill really big melee threats? Maybe, depending on how you roll. That's all. Like, is he even likely to kill an Orcs war boss leading a unit of knobs? Not really. Neg 1 to wound? No.
Yeah, he's not a sledgehammer. He's definitely a scalpel, but I think that he is very good. He's definitely not as good as Death Company or the Ball Predator, but I like him.
So going back to World Eaters here, keep him at below 55 and I'll be happy. I don't want to hit that over 55% win rate with them. I don't want any heavy nerfs for what I have in my army.
Yeah, I mean, they only have one event win, right? Like, they're not tearing up the pack for sure.
I don't agree with Mason. I'm not going to say that they're a mid-table bully. I'm going to say that they're a top-table bully against people that don't know how dangerous their turn 1 Alpha Strike is.
Yeah, I mean, World Eaters turn 1 fly. I mean, they just fly up the board if you roll right.
You can be a top-table player, but if you haven't fought World Eaters recently, you can absolutely get spanked.
Well, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face, right? So even if you are a top-table player, and the World Eater players goes first, they go advance and charge, +2 movement, and they just roll well on their charges, you just have a bunch of red anger guys in your deployment zone. Like, you're not in the middle of the field to score points. Like, you might be able to fight them out and kill them by the end of the game, but like,
you're not taking those points.
If you're standing within 22 inches, you're within punching distance of Angron.
Yes. I don't think World Eaters need a nerf. I don't think they need a buff.
I mean, you want Berserkers to go down still, right?
I still want Berserkers to go down. Actually, well, no, yeah, I think Berserkers should be 80 points for 5. And I think that both characters should go down 10 points.
I agree with all those changes, and I think some of the Exalted 8-bound need to go up by a couple points.
Disagree with that, but I do think the Berserker Glaive needs to go up 10 points. I think that the Master of Executions with the Berserker Glaive at 125 is fair, but I think that Karn is not worth 100 points. I think that a Master of Execution on its own is not worth 100 points.
They're not. Oh, God, do you think Glaive is actually worth that many points, though? The way it is now? A pip of what? A pip of damage? A pip of attack?
Master of Execution with the Glaive still hits hard.
He does, because he's just a hard hit. He's a hard-hitting unit anyway, though.
And has fights first, which is the more important aspect.
Yeah, he does die like a punk. He only has 4 wounds and no invul.
That don't matter when he kills your character.
Yeah, I mean, built-in precision is really good, too. I think that 125 is fair. Maybe Glaive could only go up 5 points if you drop, like, I think 120 is probably still fair. 115, you're pushing it a little bit, in my opinion, because it's a very good piece. Especially if you're also dropping the cost of Berserkers, which I think that you should definitely do, because I don't think they're worth 90 points.
I will say most lists don't seem to even run enhancements these days because the enhancements aren't great.
Before Pariah Nexus came out, I was going to test a list with a regular Juggerlord with the Helm of Brazen Ire just as a skirmish piece, because you only have like 7 data sheets in World Eaters, and I had an awkward number of points to fill. But then Pariah Nexus came out, and I realized that was not good.
And I mean, before Pariah Nexus, the one that gave you what is it, the free heroic intervention, I forget the name of the enhancement, could be situationally pretty decent.
Yeah, now that you already have the cheap heroic intervention, it doesn't matter anymore. Oh, and Will, actually, I'm going to backpedal on my disagreement with you. I actually think regular 8-bound can go up 5 points.
Okay.
I don't think Exalted need to go back up. I think regular 8-bound are a little cheap.
You know what? I walk back my statement. I agree with you. Regular 8-bound seem a little cheap for what they do, but Exalted 8-bound, they're very pricey. They're like Mega Knobs. They hit ridiculously hard. They're relatively tough, and they do what their role is intended to do. I think Exalted 8-bound are perfect.
Yeah, 150. It's still 155 for 3 dudes. Yeah, those 155 for 3 dudes punch real hard, but it's still 3 dudes.
It's still 3 dudes. Overwatch, you got so many things that can absolutely shut down 3 guys.
But yeah, I don't think World Eaters need any significant changes, and I think there's a little bit of play with the list, but I think mostly it's a bunch of 8-bound and some scoring pieces. Space Wolves, Championship of Russ is playable now, which is cool.
Just nerf Thunderwolf Cav. Just raise the points cost by 10 to 15%. Detachment's fine. Don't touch anything else. Leave them alone.
Yeah, make it so they have one less packet. Squad is the word I'm looking for. One less squad of wolf. I was like, one less wolf packet. What's that called?
Packet of wolves? Yeah, I got a packet of wolf.
Just the ability of your opponent to say, hey, it's turn 1 and I have 40 to 80 wounds worth of wolves in the midfield and your deployment zone. Play the game.
Yep, just take that away. Done. They'll slam down to mid 50, like lower 50s, like 51, 52.
And don't get me wrong, I play World Eaters. I don't care. I'll punch those wolves right in their stupid wolf faces. But like against armies that don't want to do that, even orcs, I think will have would struggle against that, because like you can't wall turn 1 in this edition. I know you're allowed to, but like you shoot your shot way too early is what I'm saying.
So a bad orcs player would watch turn 1. A good orcs player would screen with Gretchen and transports, and then turn 2 table them and then take the field. I think orcs honestly have an okay matchup in Space Wolves, because go ahead, charge me, do your thing, turn 2, girl, because they're all they're cavalry, Mason. They ain't moving through terrain, so you are going to be charging grots and wagons. And then I'm gonna beat the pants off your army.
And if you swallowed your pride, you could clog up walls too, and you just make it so they couldn't charge you through walls. You could put you guys 1 inch away. I know that you don't like that rule, but
I don't have an opinion one way or another. I don't care. It's a stupid rule, no matter how you rule it.
Unfortunately, yes. Also, Bjorn the Fell-Handed is a goofy goober, because he is very hard to kill for his points cost and his effect. I don't like it.
Bjorn the Fell-Handed in his Dreadnought, he hits really hard, and he's very difficult to kill.
Yeah, have the damage characteristic to attack that hits him, and he's got a lot of stuff.
5 up Field of Pain.
Saves on 2s, 8 wounds.
No invuln, but he does have a 2 up save, so invuln doesn't matter that much.
Can have a multi-melta.
Sister's multi-melt is after it gets shot by a Castigator.
That's nice theory.
I mean, you say that, but it happens all the time.
Yeah. Plus the True Claw, the melee.
So Bjorn gets taken frequently, and he's very good, but it's Logan that I see in every list. Logan led by stupid wolves that do stupid things.
Yeah, Santa Claus Logan good, for sure. He has his law where he just makes everyone reroll charges, right? Or no, reroll hits.
He gets to come in a turn early because reasons, and he gets to deploy from strategic reserves at 9 inches.
Will, don't be ridiculous. He doesn't get to come in early. His buddy standing next to him tells him, "Hey, Logan, let's go in early."
Oh, I'm sorry, Mason.
Because you give him you give the lieutenant the attachment. How embarrassing for you.
Like, Logan is dumb. If Logan and the Wolves all got hit with 10 to 20% point hits They'd be fine. Detachment done. Easy GG. Move along.
Honestly, like, I think I'd take back what I said. I don't think you need to raise the points of the wolves. I think you need to raise the points of the characters.
The characters, Space Wolves have traditionally had, so this is going to make a lot of Space Wolf players stop listening to us. I want you to go into the app, and I want you to count how many named characters Space Wolves have. And then I want you to pick a random Xenos faction, and I want you to tell me the difference.
Compare it to the Votan named characters.
No.
Pick Votan. There you go. Because the difference is going to make you real sad.
You can't pick Votan. Votan will have, dude. That's not fair. That's cheating.
Yeah, I picked I picked the most unfair because like if they picked Eldar's got a lot of characters.
I will say Murderfang is really good.
Murderfangs has literally always been really good. The model is just so goofy that nobody but our local Space Wolves players plays him.
Dude, I would play him in a heartbeat just for Murder Maker. Each time an enemy unit targets this model after the unit is finished making its attacks, this model can either shoot as if it were your shooting phase or fight as if it was your fighting phase.
It's the same thing as the Death Company Dreadnought. It's good, but if I'm going to slam in a Murderfang with 10 knobs, I'm going to kill him.
Yeah, well, you use the ability offensively because you consolidate into something that can't kill you.
True.
Also, like, how edgy is it to have weapons called the Murder Claws and be the Murder Maker and be Murderfang? Like,
murder, I totally haven't followed the corn. Don't mind me as I paint my armor red.
But yeah, he doesn't have the damage reduction abilities that Bjorn has, so he's not as tough at least. So I'm actually fine with Murderfang. Chewing through all the wolf pelts is the problem.
So a couple more hits here I want to get to real quick before we get too much more in depth. Chaos Demons, 52%. That's good. Imperial Knights at 51%. Good. AdMech, 51% for AdMech. That's a massive swing.
They got big buffs this last FAQ, this last data slate, right?
They did. It only took them a year to get them, though.
Actually, this AAA center bunch is all something to be really happy about. Custodes being 50 is great. They are a hard army to balance historically, so the fact that they're sitting at 50 right now, I'm very happy about.
The Knife Ears? I mean, Eldari?
Eldar being below 50, I'm happy about.
Eldar could literally go to 0%, and I wouldn't say a word.
Still one event win for them.
Well, I think Eldar will probably be one of those. If you're good at Eldar, you could still win an event with them, even if their average win rate is in the 30s.
Well, it's also because they have a billion data sheets.
They got a billion data sheets, and if you just know what to do and you know how to take people by surprise, and it's your day, you win. You get some special toilet dice to help your fake dice rolls.
Eldar are one of those factions where, like, if you were really good at the faction, you could literally just roll up to an event with some random nonsense and probably win, just because you know what your army does. And no one else can memorize all of your stupid ass rules.
So, bottom four. If you want to talk about Tau, that's fine.
I was going to say that I was just surprised that they're as low as they are.
I kind of agree with Mason. It seems like their detachments seem real. The crew hunting pack, that tracks.
That's bringing it down. Okay, because Kalyan is where I expected them to be. Nothing else to say here. That was my confusion. Crew hunting pack at the big 31%.
Because Preston, I guarantee. So our other host, Preston with Kalyan, he scares me in the way of a serial killer that will eat my flesh.
Kalyan has not taken an event, though. Monka did, and Retaliation Cadre have, but Kalyan has not.
I swear to God, you put Preston with some decent matchups with Kalyan, Preston wins. Hands down. Like, Kalyan is so good.
Preston's a good player. Kalyan's a good detachment. But, yeah, at the average of... This is why you always got to look at the specific detachment win rates, because looking at Tau being a 49%, you get a little confused, but then you see what is actually bringing down the average, and then you're good.
The good old crew hunting pack.
Yeah, it's probably, I mean, to be fair, it's probably like one or two people playing it. But yeah, bottom three, Deathwatch is going to go away. Orcs?
Orcs are in a death spiral at this point. Green Tide, quote unquote, has play. This is why Green Tide has play. It's because it's still difficult to shoot that many bodies off the board. But am I going to play 120 bodies or 80 or 100 bodies for a 47% win rate army? No, I'm not going to do it. So you have some fanatical zealots that are screeching up the board, trying their best, and they're doing okay. The only other detachment that has play is Warhorde. That's it. Since they nuked Meganobs, that was our only other detachment that had real play, and it was Meganobs, and they And as in typical GW fashion, they took a sledgehammer when they could have used a scalpel. So orcs are in a death spiral.
Even when orcs were S tier, I don't think that... I think they still hit them a little harder than they needed to. I couldn't tell you what they need to do to bring orcs back.
So there are very few models in the game that should have 4 feel no pain. Very few. Keep megas at a 5-up feel no pain. Undo the points cost nerfs. That's it. Bully boys, we back, baby. Green Tide, don't undo the re-rolling ones for invul saves for models. Just keep it. Boys units at over strength 10 have a 5-up invul save. No re-rolls. That's it. Keep that. And undo the stratagem nerfs. So now Green Tide is back. Then you'll have Bully Boys back because Mega Knobs, even with a 5-up feel no pain, are really good. That's for 2 turns. And you will, with their points cost nerf undone, you're still going to see a lot of Mega Knobs. And are they still going to be annoying? Yes, they're still going to be annoying. You're still going to hear people crying about them. But you will not see Bully Boys rise above 53, 52%, in my opinion. And Warhorde, I think this might be a hot take, I think Gaz needs to drop by about 20 points. Because, and here's why, Gaz does not do enough for the armies that he's slotted into, except for Warhorde, which Warhorde is goddamn Goffs, you guys, which is his detachment. Gazgul does not do enough for him to be warranted in most other detachments. So if you drop Gaz by about 20 points, you'll see Warhorde. You might see him in Big Hunt. And I think if you drop a couple points off of here and there, this is very sparingly, in the Big Hunt off of Squighog Boys, or because they're war bosses, Mozrag and the boss on the Squig, if you drop them by about 10 to 20% points, or add +1 to hit as they're leading a unit.
I don't think Gaz should come down. I think 235 is very fair for his profile. But I do agree with the Mega Knob thing. I think Mega Knobs should be like, they're 40 points a model right now? That's too much. I think 36 points a model is fair.
Keep them at a 5-up, feel no pain, because no model in the game should have a 4 feel no pain with very special exception.
Yeah, like I'm fine with Chaos Spawn having a 4 feel no pain, right? And they don't have it all the time. It's conditional. I mean, that conditional is very easy to satisfy, but like my Chaos Spawn having it is like okay because there's only 2 of them. Having that on, they don't have a 2-up armor save. You know what I mean?
Also, drop Snickrot back down to 80. He's got an uppy downy once per game. Why do you hate orcs?
I don't have an issue with that change either. Also, like I would even go as far as say buff Mega Knobs, give him a 6-up feel no pain all the time.
Oh, Mason, I'm gonna kiss you next time we see.
The only other changes is maybe knobs down 1 point per model, and then some of the leaders that can lead boys, drop them a couple points. That way you buff Bully Boys and you buff Green Tide as well.
They either need to, so this is just kind of I'm not trying to forget Speed Cult.
You can. It's fine.
Either you have to change Speed Cult's rules, or you have to drop the points on the buggies some more. Which I don't think any detachment takes buggies unless they're like 50 points per model. Because buggies are just trash. They're terrible. They're awful. No one wants to take them.
Oh, Beast Snagga Boys can probably come down a couple points too.
Oh, I disagree with that. Beast Snagga Boys absolutely slap the pants off anybody they touch. And in the WoD, they still get a 5-up and a 6-up, and they're still T5, and they reroll all failed hits against vehicles and monsters. I'm going to an RTD this upcoming weekend. I'll be running the Big Hunt. I'm probably going to run Trip Rig, Trip Beast Boss, Trip Snagga Boys, because they are so good. I can't even overstate how with Snagga Boys and the Kill Rig buff, they are strength 7 on the WoD, rerolling all failed hits against vehicles and monsters. That's really good. But to cement my point, orcs are in a death spiral right now. They released our codex, and they were like, here's 2 really good attachments. And they were like, oh wait, JK, they're too good. We're going to slit your intestines and let them fall out on the floor. Enjoy.
Space Marines, I don't think this is a real percentage. I'll be honest with you.
I'm with Mason. There's no way. This is ridiculous.
Well, first of all, Stormlands Task Force have a 0% win rate on here. I know it's only 11 games, so like 3 people went to an event and won no games between the 3 of them. But they weren't playing Space Wolf Stormlands, so I think that, not to echo what GW said in 9th, but there's a lot of underexperienced Space Marine players out there that are going to events with the guys they got, with their favorite guys that they read about in their favorite book, and they're not realizing that, hey, some people have armies lists that run a Demon Primarch who can move 28 inches, and then his whole army can call in a Psychic Hail Strike on your army in your deployment zone, and then you're dead.
But those aren't my favorite guys from books. I don't see Trazen and Oregon here.
Oh, they're up top, and they're at a 40-something win rate. They're doing fine, too. But the blue guys... These blue guys, people really like them.
But to your point, people have said that before for this edition. I think GW's even said that for this edition, that yes, it's the poster boys. It's what the lunchbox came with. Everybody's got 1 billion Space Marines, and it's what people play, and not all players are like y'all. A lot of them are like me, which are bad.
Yeah, I'm very suspect about the win rate for Space Marines, and I always will be, unless it's filtered in some way to account for player skill. If you go to an RTT and you go X4 with your Space Marines, I would look inward and say, hey, it's probably just I need to get a little bit more experience, because Space Marines have a lot of tools to do a lot of things really well. Inceptors are still really good, even with all the points cost. Marnius Calgar is still really good. It's just he might not be your favorite guy. If you're running Torgaradon, you're probably not running the most optimal list out there. But that's fine. Not everyone plays the game for a different reason. I'm not trying to attack you if they will like to do that. GSC, well, Michael, you take it away for GSC.
So they got a recent change with a couple of changes that came down with their blips, where they're able to come back Deep Strike now, which I think will help a lot more. They're rough right now. I'm not going to lie. That codex is a really rough codex for the army. My favorite 3 detachments would be Outlander Claw, Brood Brothers, and Biocentric Brood Surge. Brood Brothers is performing terribly with all 6 players at 32%. Biocentric Brood Surge has 12 players at 40%, and Outlander Claw has 6 players at an even 50% with a 1 event win, surprisingly. So yeah, GSC is rough, but I think the change with the blips that came out in this past week will make that rise up a couple of ticks. And I still say Outlander Claw is a fun detachment.
I genuinely hope that GSC do not rise that high, because there are like 8 GSC players in the whole world, and fighting their army is an experience in misery, because you don't know what they do, you don't know how they operate, and you don't know if they're cheating or not, and you're just like, I guess do whatever you want to do, man, because and in a tournament setting, you ask to see their list, you can ask to see. And you read it and you're like, okay, but where does this rule come from? And then they show you the other rule and you're like, oh my god, how do these interactions work? What is going on? An hour and a half has gone by. So, this is just me, and I genuinely say this. I'm a casual player at this point. I don't know what to do to make Gene Stealer cults feel good to play against. It does not feel good to fight Gene Stealer cults. It does not feel good. I do not enjoy fighting them. Every time I'm paired into them, I feel anxiety. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know why you're doing what you're doing. I don't know how to beat you. That might be part of their army plan. I don't know, maybe, but that's all I'm saying.
I mean, I think that's a salient point for anybody that doesn't know the other player's army. It doesn't matter. I mean, if I fought AdMech, I don't know what they do other than they probably shoot. I don't know the rules for half the army. So, I mean, I think that's a point that can be said for a lot of people that play the game. That said, I do want them higher. I'd like all these bottom tier armies to be at least 45% and up. That'd be nice for a balance perspective. But it does sad me to see GSC at almost 40% win rate.
Yeah, I think this is a little bit of the birth pangs of Pariah Nexus, right? Because for a while we were getting really close to everyone being in that 45 to 55% bracket, and now we've had some fall off. Deathwatch has always been down there, but like we said, they're not going to exist in another couple of weeks, so who cares?
Yeah, and it is a lower population of people playing the faction. I mean, 43, when you look at like Astra Militarum at 153 players.
Yeah, I think that no one's going to object if the bottom 5 get buffs. CSM need a little bit of love. Orcs need, we talked about a little bit of love. Space Marines need data sheets that are not the busted data sheets to get love. Like, you could drop Inceptors down by 30% and people still probably wouldn't run them.
Buff heavy intercessors, buff literally anything else.
Dude, I would love to buff heavy intercessors. I think those models look cool.
Me too, baby.
But now we're going to go back in time to, well, I guess it's technically another universe, to Warhammer Fantasy.
It is a good day to be a ghost.
It's a good day to be a ghost, baby.
These are the rules, or these are the stats as of the 28th of July. I don't have newer stats, and this is thanks to Warhammer for the call out here. Night Haunt have a 67% win rate and are extremely overpowered, flat overpowered. They need changes.
That's disgusting. That is so high.
I have first-hand experience. So I attended an RTT this weekend as Gloomspite gets as Trogs against Nighthaunt. Up until that point, up until my third game that weekend, no one had killed more than 6 Trogs, period, in my list.
Out of what, you had 15?
I had 18 Trogs in my list.
And no one killed more than 5.
No one had killed more than 6. He killed 6, turn 2. Nighthaunt slapped. So, I played Trug. I played a Reinforced 6, a Reinforced 6, a Dankhold Trog Boss, a Fellwater Trogoth, not Reinforced. My Dankhold Trog Boss, he was Loon Touch so he could cast, and he had the -1 to hit artifact. I played Scrogrot, a unreinforced 3-man Rock Gut, and unreinforced Squig Hoppers. Game 1, I fought Stormcast Eternals. They stood no hope. They just can't kill me. I think my opponent, and so my opponent was one of my good friends out here. He stood no hope. He killed 5 Trogs the whole game. There's just nothing he could do. So my army just marched forth. They could take no damage. Unless you killed a Trog, there's no point. Why even bother attacking me? Game 2, I played against Elves and the shooty bow Elves, Lumineth Realm Lords. Now, I will say, if you're playing Lumineth Realm Lords with the cavalry that shoot and ignore wards, you're a bad person. And I hope bad things happen to you.
I mean, you had 18 Trogs.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
I'm a bad person, and I hope bad things happen to me.
Fair.
All right,
fair.
well, as long as we're an equal opportunist, that's fine.
That list, the Lumineth, dude, so he explained everything that he could remember, and I emphasize this, everything that he could remember to me at the beginning of the game. And then, like, turn 1, he's like, oh, yeah, I forgot, I have XYZ rule. I'm like, dog, are you kidding? Lumineth Realm Lords have a ridiculous amount of rules.
Yeah, they're elves. They have all the rules that break all the rules.
They're high elves, so they break rules and they shoot, and they're very magic-y.
Dude, it was ridiculous. I'm like, what is happening? I was lucky in that game. I had my 10 Squiggo boys. They charged one of his HQs, and they just murdered him with rusty knives. I'm not even kidding. They murdered him with rusty knives, like turn 2.
Sounds legit, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get stabbed with a rusty knife. Like, that sounds like a bad time for me.
Not repeatedly, even.
Yeah, now like 5 guys just like...
But against Nighthaunt, especially game 3, he picked up 3 Trogs turn 1, and I was like, uh-oh, I'm actually in trouble.
I'm in danger.
I'm actually in danger. I ended up tying game 3 because Trug hits so hard. If he hits with his club, it's damage 4. And it's not like Warhammer at 40k. Damage spills over, baby. And all you Nighthaunt boys, they got 1 wound apiece. So Trug was picking up between 8 and 20 models a turn.
Yeah, it's very that cinematic, like in like Lord of the Rings, where the troll just sweeps across and kills a bunch of like human infantry and stuff like that. It's very much that feeling when you're just like, I'm damaged 5, you lose 5 guys.
Mason's got it exactly right. So he charged Trug turn 3 with 10 Blade Haunt or whatever Blade Geist. He didn't kill him. I roll on my turn. The turn past me, I rolled to heal Trug. I rolled a 6. So Trug healed 6 wounds and was back up to 9 wounds, and then fought, and I rolled another 3, and he's back up to 12 wounds, and I'm like, dude, what is happening? So Gloomspite are gonna get nerfed. Straight up, if you're running the Trog build, like I am, you're gonna get nerfed. Sorry about your luck, buddy.
They probably won't get touched until the top, 5 there that are over 57% come down.
Yeah, I'm gonna get kicked right in the shins first. Varangard is super overtuned in a very similar way.
100%.
Where they're a little bit more less durable than Trogs, but in exchange they move almost twice as fast and hit harder. So, and they fight twice. So I don't know, man. I just live here. Like, what's happening?
So I will say we had one person there with the Vanguard, and they did great, but they didn't have the obviously optimal list. I think that the GSC Trug list, I think I can take your punching to the face and survive. So I think that GSG might be an okay counter to that. I genuinely hope that Slaves at Arc just get a little hit, but that's all.
Yeah, well, so that's the thing is like Slaves of Darkness have a lot of stuff to rely on. So even if Varangard, like, oh, you don't want to run the 12 Varangard list, you only want to run like 3 or 6. We still have Chaos Knights, we still have Chaos Warriors, we still have the Sorcerer who gives them a 5-up, the Warriors a 5-up ward. There's plenty of options for Slaves of Darkness, so I'm not like bemoaning the fact that Varangard are overtuned and need to be lowered. Because I just bought Abraxia, I don't want Varangard to get nerfed too bad because I want to use Abraxia. She's not that good if you're not running Varangard.
Come fight me, bitch.
Sounded personal, but okay.
I have a fully painted army. I'm ready and willing.
I have one painted model and another arm model base coated, and I like the one that's only base coated better because I have to repaint my fully painted model.
Come fight me.
So, I have a couple of comments. Very tentative thoughts on 4th edition Age of Sigmar since I've not played a full actual 2K game. But the one thing I do not like so far is army building. I'm not a fan of army building in 4th edition. I don't like, sometimes I like Hero Hammer. Sometimes I want to take every character I have if my army has a billion characters. I don't want to be locked into just 5, especially when most competitive lists are like 2 drops. I'm not a fan of that.
This harkens back to 9th edition, 8th edition of 40k. List building restrictions inherently limit your army for a reason. Because if I could take a Trog army without taking Scragrot or anything else as part of my list building restrictions, it would be amazing. But that's part of the problem, though. That's part of the balancing process. And I appreciate that because I love building an army that is good without the restrictions, well, including the restrictions of building an army around XYZ. That's it.
Yeah, I understand like not wanting to have to do it, but so in Michael's defense, he plays cities where like their guys don't do anything. Like they're going to do a bunch of plink damage and the heroes are going to come in and do most of the work. So the fact that he has a limit on how many heroes he can play is kind of what the limiting factor is for him. But, you know, it's still relatively early and I actually don't understand the army creation rules too, so maybe there is a way to add more heroes. Because I know that I can take like, not like full on like a Chaos Lord, but I have an Exalted Hero of Chaos that there's a way for me to add in as like an auxiliary unit or something like that. So,
well, if you take Archaon, you can add one of your big heroes as just one of your regiments.
Yeah, but if you take Archaon, you don't have points for anything, so.
But who cares? Archaon's a Giga Chad who just kills literally anything he touches.
He is a bit of a murder machine for sure, and he's very hard to kill. Although, to be fair, he's also enormous, so.
I love Age of Sigmar 4th edition because, like, it doesn't matter. Archaon is such a murder machine, and he's so huge, and he dominates the battlefield. But who cares? He does that, and he deserves it. If whatever he's touching, it's dead.
It's definitely more thematic than Warhammer Heroes, where you hear them doing that in the lore, and then they get on the battlefield and they get shot with a railgun and die.
Exactly.
But they can move through walls now. Yay, Primarchs.
You know what? There it is. Primarchs can walk through walls, and that's great. There's still way too many fucking points.
This is like the Soy Jack versus like the Wojak meme. Like, I'm not sad, you're sad.
To your point, Mason, you can bring them as auxiliary. So, I mean, I could bring them in as auxiliary units, but still, that's more than 2 drops. We'll see. Other thing, the free spells, that's going to have to change, I think, because the spells are, people run rampant with those, and I think that's going to eat a nerf.
Manifestations are ridiculous. And either need to be changed, done away with. Something needs to happen. Endless spells, like, they're stupid. The rules around them are stupid. Age of Sigmar 4.0 is amazing. Endless spells, stupid.
Heard it here first. Spearhead.
So, Michael and I played 2 games of Spearhead. I played Slaves to Darkness into his cities, and Slaves to Darkness took that home. And then we played a game where I played his OBR into the Skaven, and Skaven took that one. It's a nice little system. I thought Slaves of Darkness power level was a decent bit stronger than the city's power level, and I thought that the Skaven power level was a decent bit bigger than the OBR power level. So I'd be interested to see if they balance the Spearhead boxes like in some way with rules or whatever, or if you might want to consider doing that if your local friends group, if you're playing a weaker Spearhead, make some house rules, either add some units or give them a couple extra, like give them some sort of advantage or something like that. But you know, Michael and I, we're probably only about 80% in all the rules too, so it's possible that we didn't play correctly. So, that's with the greatest all. But I had a blast.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed the game style, the game system, and as far as that game one goes, I mean, I don't think Cities is inherently weaker. I think my play was inherently weaker because I didn't position well at all. I let you get within range of my big centerpiece gun that would have actually done some damage, and that knocked it out for like 2 of the 4 rounds we get. So part of that game was on me, and even then, still a fairly close game. All in all, I think it was on 3-point difference, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
So yeah, Spearhead is a lot of fun. I want to see them add different spearheads, like the Skaven have 2, Stormcast have 2. I'd like to see that branch out more to add more spearheads to the other armies, so you get different styles of play. But it was fun. The board is small, but when you play the game, it doesn't feel super small because I mean most of the units only move 6 or 8 inches. So, I mean, you're not rushing up the board unless you're cav.
Yeah, I think that cavalry zoom around that board for sure. But I mean, when your infantry are only moving 5 inches, those OBR phalanx guys are moving 4 inches. It's a tolerable board size forever. You don't feel like you're controlling the entire board with your movement.
Yeah, and I mean, rats being rats, man. I got rats back. You did wipe out one whole unit on one turn, which was cool.
Yeah, you charged me, and I was like, well, the OBR guys had anti-rend, and I had given them the +1 rend too, so they were just rend too when you hit me.
Yeah.
When you hit me right in the face, I was like, you're like, oh, I don't get a save at all. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yep, rat bodies flying everywhere. Of course, your 3 calves couldn't take on my rats, so.
They couldn't. They just could not hit. Even though if they hit on 3s, they just could not hit you. It was impossible.
Yep, so it is a fun system. I definitely want to get more games in. I would like to actually do a local Spearhead League, I think, because I think it'd be a lot of fun for people to get their feet in the door, just to scratch the surface with a smaller point army. I have given Mason a Vanguard box to build and paint, so he has another army. If he wants to say which one it is, I'll let him.
Yeah, I mean, I have a Gloomspike gets one now, and I could also join the Trog Thumping League with Will, I guess. There's only 3 of them, though. It's not 18, but it is a much smaller game.
It is, and that box I bought at the first Richmond opened. So that's how long first Richmond Open. That's how long I've had that box sitting on the shelf.
Oh, wow. So that's been 18 months almost now?
So give it a home to somebody who'll use it.
And then I'll also have, once I put it all together, I'll have the Skaven and the Stormcast ones. Technically, I'll have 2 Stormcast ones because I have 2 sets of the Stormcast from the Skaven Tide box. And then I have the Slaves of Darkness. And I think I have enough pieces. Oh, no, I don't have two chariots. But if I get a second chariot or proxied a chariot, I could run 2 Slaves of Darkness spearheads too. So I could help loan out units for the league and stuff like that too. Since it's only for a day, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, I just think it'd be a fun thing to do. But yeah, Spearhead as a whole is a really good system. I think it's what Combat Patrol wanted to be and just never achieved. I see people reading, oh, GW accidentally made a good game. No, it's not an accident. I mean, they put work into it, and Spearhead is a really, really good system, I think.
Yeah, it definitely feels like they refined this in a good way, and they made this a very accessible but a very fun game. And I'm sure there's a much deeper well of tactical play that we didn't really experience just because I was just kind of flying by the seat of my pants personally. Yeah, we both play 40k. I pay a little more competitively than you do, but that's the only real experience we have with a similar game system. That I want to stand on these funny little circles to get points, and that's kind of the extent of it.
Yeah, it's getting used to the trade-offs, which is nice. The 3 battle tactic cards you draw that you either score points or you can do a trade-off and use an ability rather than score the point. I think that's a good system, and it's only 4 rounds. It's not 5 rounds. You only get 12 cards each because you draw 3 a round. So I mean, it's nice. I mean, it's a trade-off. You get to decide, okay, is it worth scoring this point because I can complete this, or is it worth doing this ability so this unit lives and I can score a point later where they can't score?
Yeah, I think that is a very good system. There's still the element of randomness and things to do. The underdog system's a good system. I feel as though that Combat Patrol was very much let's just tack this on because we sell these boxes, whereas Spearhead's let's make this a viable alternative game system.
Yeah, but it gets people in the door, it gets them to buy the box, and then gets them to say, hey, I like the way this plays. Let's buy more of this army or another army and see what happens.
Which is a great business model. You get people looking at your beautiful models, and then you get them, they drop $150 on a box. They put it together, and they're it's a big investment, but it's also not. They play their first couple games, and then they turn into Will with 10,000 points of orcs. Or you with a lot of unpainted plastic.
That's hurtful. You're not wrong, but that's hurtful.
Oh, well, we don't need to talk about how much unpainted plastic I have. Mine just is over the course of a few years.
Mine's 2 years at this point, because I started the last year of 9th. So yeah, I'd say mine's 2.5, but I have a plan. I'm slowly getting rid of boxes. I sold a couple of boxes. I gave you a box. I'm building more. I'm going to finish my sister's builds, and then I'm going to finish my city's builds, and then I'm probably going to try to get that Seraphon Vanguard built at least for another Vanguard box to have before I go hog wild and finish building that entire army out, because I have all the boxes for that too. So I like Age of Sigmar. I'm looking forward to playing more games, Spearhead, and full 2K points, but we'll see how that goes down the road.
Get a 2K army, Michael.
I have OBR built. That's at 2K. Cities I don't have built at 2K. I need to build more models.
You better come play the next one. So, this past weekend, when I played, the person who won the tournament got to name the tournament's name for the next one. So, be on the lookout for Saggy Troll Tatas in the new...
Really?
In the Newport News area.
Well, with that, I think we're good to wrap up for the night.
Yeah.
I think that's a good note to end on.
In case anyone didn't know, Will was the one who won.
I did win. Woo!
So he did that. It was him.
Sounds accusatory, but again, you're not wrong.
I want anyone to misconstrue the situation that it wasn't Will that caused this atrocity.
Look, y'all can hate all you want, but like when y'all win tournaments and you get to name the next one, do whatever you want.
That said, I want to thank everyone for listening to this episode. Reach out to us at openplaypodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's openplaypodcast@gmail.com. You can find the podcasting where you can find your best podcast. We have a YouTube channel as well under OpenPlay. You can listen to the podcast there and use our affiliate code for Fire Minis and buy some stuff and help us pay for the editor who's going to have to listen to all this and edit everything out. Otherwise, everybody have a good hobby time, a good week, enjoy your games, and let's sign off, y'all.
Have a good one, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Good night, everyone.
See ya.